just wanted to show you really quick. One of the things that hung me up a lot when I was first getting started was just setting up a project locally. Now, there were a lot of things that I didn't understand, a lot of things that I barely understand now, to tell you the truth. But you kind of get into a rhythm of things, and troubleshooting is a lot easier when you understand, or when you've had a lot of like attempts to try to set something up and you failed and fell asleep and woke up the next day. A lot of this programming stuff really is just muscle memory that you're building. But I want to show you one thing in particular because it was interesting. When I first tried this course, I had a lot of trouble with setup. And then when I did the course was really difficult. So perhaps I was a little too early, but nobody could told me back in those days to stop. I just wanted to learn everything. If React.js was the new hotness, that's what I wanted to learn. So I just want to save you the trouble a little bit if you're having trouble with installation. And I want to just harp on a couple of the things from a beginner's perspective, right? So you have you bought the course, and now you're trying to set up using his video. For this to really be effective, you would have already had installed Git and had your GitHub account. I'll make another video for that as well. But let's say that's already set up and you're signed in and you made it to the starter files. What you want to do is click clone to download and copy this. I suggest downloading iTerm, but you could use your terminal. Again, all these things are just things that you pick up as you go along, but the terminal is the command prompt for your computer, and iTerm is just a different application that handles the same business. So you can see up here, I'm in the root of my computer. Now I want to put it on the desktop just so I can visualize it. I really keep a lot of my projects in my Lennyroy folder, the home folder. But just to show you how this works, I'm going to cd, which means open, the directory, my desktop, and now I'm in my desktop. I'm going to do mkdir to make a new directory. Oh, I don't have to, because when I get clone from what we saved in the past, it's going to create a directory, a folder right on my desktop. So we do git clone, and we copy and paste what we typed in before. Now it's going to clone in. And if you look at the desktop, you'll see that it's right there. So what do we do now? We have it on our desktop. Now we have to set it up. So I usually just do this. Keep this one open. I'm going to just drag it in right there. Okay, so I have my Sublime Text open, have my iTerm open, and I want to do just a few more things, okay? Now, here's what I mean about looking at it from a beginner's perspective. This can be a little intimidating, especially other folder structures that are even more complicated than this. But if you think about it, you need to set up this project using some tools that are referenced in your package.json file. But the only way to unlock them, to unpeel them, to get them to actually be downloaded on your computer, because they're not yet, is you have to do a very special command called NPM install. Let's go ahead and do that now. But not here. See, you cloned the folder, but you're not in it yet. So you want to cd React, and if you hit tab, it's going to look for the nearest folder that you have that starts with those 3 letters. And because I have nothing else that's similar, it jumps me right to it. And I hit enter, and now I'm inside. So let's do npm install right here. Here's the takeaway. If you see a package.json file on a Git repo that you have cloned, npm install is something that you want to do so that you can utilize all the things in this file. Looks like none. We're going to do it again, but it's important to have this error and to understand what the errors are, not the errors, but just the bad news that your terminal is going to spit at you, because look at what's going to install when we do npm install here. There must be another package.json file elsewhere in the project that we need to install. So let's just start here, do npm install. And it said it found 0 vulnerabilities and found no README, no description, no repository field, no license field. It didn't find jack. So let's take a look inside the catch of the day folder, because I think that if you've tried out the course, if you watched the videos a little bit, you know that's the major React application that you're building in this. And look at that. There's a package.json file and a package.json file. So perhaps it's already set up. Anyway, let's go into catch. Hit tab when you write the first few letters. Let's try npm install here. And that's going to go for a few minutes. So let's just think and see if that is going to run. So again, I'm an advanced beginner. I'm an intermediate beginner. I'm a professional web developer who's always learning. You can be all those things at once. And I create these applications or run through these tutorials as a way to constantly learn as I'm going. But the one thing that I want to tell you, that even if you don't feel it, I was really frightened to do all these things at first, and it does go away over time. Believe me when I tell you that it does. So we're going to wait just a few minutes for this to finish up, and then we're going to, so think about it. We cloned the project. We tried npm install on the root of the project, and we got nothing. We looked inside of catch of the day, which seems to be the major, that's where the meat of the project really is. And we found another package.json file there. You saw how the node modules just popped up? That's good. That means that all these are getting installed. Look, you can see them even getting installed in real time. Well, it's actually pretty cool. Once this is done, we need to then turn on our development environment, which will be npm start. And when you run npm start, it's going to look at all of the files that you cloned from GitHub. It's going to look at all of the dependencies that you installed, all your node modules that you installed with npm install, and it's going to start running them. And it's going to find A, it's going to find B, it's going to find everything that it needs. Oh man, this is wild. And it's going to run a local environment with whatever you have in this catch of the day folder, which I'm pretty sure if you know the first course, the first lesson in Wes Boss's class is nothing. You start from scratch, and that's what makes that class great. So let's just wait a few more minutes, and then we'll move on. All right, we got a couple of warning signs there. Nothing more than usual, believe it or not. It looks like we're good. Let's try now. Oh, I think I just forgot to do something. So I have a particular setup in my computer where I have my node version is older than the one that is needed for this class. It's set to version 6 for some reason. It's something that I haven't even fixed yet on my computer. So these problems come up, and you can either remember to fix it before you start working on the project, but to illustrate the issues that come with this, right? Because it's not that you're a bad developer because you can't get this project to be set up, but setting up this project and running into problems is the job. That is really how it looks when you're a professional developer. You just kind of sweat less and cry less, but you still have problems that you need to solve, even when it comes to the setting up of the development environment, let alone the actual coding, which is also hard. So let's just try npm start here. And it doesn't work. This error is bad. And if I didn't know that it's because of a particular aspect of my computer, then it would be impossible for me to solve it as a beginner. And then when I found out what the solution is, it also seemed so impossible to me that that's what the solution is. And you got to just kind of start over, but not all the way. And you can't just start over. You got to delete what you've done. So follow my logic here. We saw this folder expand when we downloaded our stuff. So we're going to do something, and then we're going to install npm once again. So that means that you need to delete this. I know it's scary, but you're going to delete your node modules, and you're going to delete your package.json file. And then before you reinstall, you need to make sure that your node version is 10 or above. So use version 10. So NVM use version 10. It's going to shoot it up to version 10. I can confirm that by doing node v. You can see that it's at version 10. Then I'm going to do npm install one more time, and we'll be right back. Fingers crossed. Okay, so we updated our node version. We made sure that we had 6. It's easier if this is your first time setting up Node, because when you download it, it's already going to be at the newest version, but I had an old version set up. So I changed my internal setup. I deleted the old version of the NPM modules that were installed when I was using that wrong setup. And then I reinstalled those modules again on top of the new NPM, the new Node version 10 that I set my computer to. So now when I do npm start, good. So just to recap, this stuff is hard, not just the coding, but the setup too. It's important to understand what npm install does, and we saw it in action. And it's important to understand that if a part of your setup is wrong and then you set up node modules on top of that, they're effectively all set up on shaky ground and they won't work either. Deleting your node modules is no big deal, even though there's 1,001 files in there, because you just downloaded them. So if you did something wrong, you just get rid of them and start over. Don't reclone the project, just delete that node modules, because that is the file that was set up incorrectly. Hit Control C to end your development server. And that's it for this. I hope it helped. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty setting up projects. And part of the fun and part of the challenge and part of the real job is doing it wrong and figuring it out until you get it right.